Hello everyone, welcome to Alake Oge YouTube channel. Today's tutorial is on how to draft a basic bodice using the bust dart, and we're going to be transferring the bust dart to the shoulder dart. So that means we're going to be using the bust dart to transfer that to make the shoulder dart. So if you're interested in learning how to make this, please continue to watch this video, and thank you for subscribing and for the love. I really appreciate you. Thank you. So to start off, I will divide my biggest circumference into two, and because this will be half scale, that is from the shoulder to the waist, that means the biggest circumference is the bust. So that means I'm going to be inputting my bust measurement. I divide that by 2, then I added 2 inches. 34 divided by 2 is 17, and 17 plus 2 equals to 19, and I'm marking 19 inches right there. And that 19 inches I divided into 2 again, that was 9.5. I mark that because I need the space for the front, so this side will be for the center front and the other side will be for the center back. So that means this side will be for the front. So the next one I'm marking is the shoulder to the nipple, which is the bust point, and then I mark the shoulder to the waist. So this line I'm scoring down is the shoulder to the nipple, so I'm going to label that bust point, and this is the shoulder to the waist, that's the waistline, WL. And for the back, I'm just going to measure the shoulder to the waist for the back. The shoulder for the waist for the back is 14 because the back length is shorter than the front, so I'm just going to label that the waistline. So the next measurement I'll input is the half of the shoulder measurement, which for me is 7. Mine is 14, so 14 divided by 2 equals to 7. Then I'm marking the shoulder slope right there. The shoulder slope for the front is 1.5 inches, and from there I'll mark the armhole measurement, which in mine is 7.1. So I'm just going to mark that line. So this line will serve as the chest line, and I'm going to rule that line to the back like so. So the chest line for the front and back is the same thing. So I'm just going to create the neckline. So I'll be using 3 by 3 inches for the neckline. If you're working with a plus size measurement, you should do 3.5 by 3.5 for your basic neckline. So I'm just going to connect from the neckline to the shoulder slope like so. And on the chest line, I'm just going to import the half of the shoulder measurements, and I'm going to dot down. So from there, I'm going to connect it to where we slope down the shoulder like so. So the next thing is to input the quarter of my bust measurement. My bust is 34, so 34 divided by 4 equals to 8.5, and that was what I marked. So on the line there, I'm going to divide it by 2. The line of the so as to create the armhole curve, and from there I'm going to mark that and come in by 0.5 in order to create the armhole curve for the front. You go in by 0.75. So I'm just going to use my curve ruler to connect those together from the top right there, the way I place my curve ruler, to where I marked the quarter of my bust circumference, and that is that there. So the next measurement I'm going to input is the half of my bust span. My bust span is 7, so 7 divided by 2 equals to, so I'm just leaving that, see all like that, is 10 equals 3.5, and that's what I marked. And I'm going to root down that line, and for this I'm going to use 1 inch for that allowance. So I had half inch on one side and half inch on the other side, and from the bust point I'm going to come down by 1 inch in order to create your dart leg like so. So, and on the waistline I will input the quarter of the waist circumference. My waist circumference is 28, so 28 divided by 4 equals to 7. Then the 1 inch that I've taken in for the dart, I added it back, so that's why I marked 8, and that is that. So now I'm going to take the bust dart. Your bust dart length will be the difference from your front waistline and your back waistline. My front waistline is 16 while the back is 14, so 16 minus 14 equals to 2 inches. So that's why I take 2 inches as the bust dart. So the difference from your front shoulder to waist measurement and your back shoulder waist measurement is what you're going to use to make your dart. And from there, I'm going to mark the neckline, which I'm going to be using 3 by 1. If you're working with plus size measurement, you should do 3.5 by 1. So I'm just going to create the curve like so, and I'll just input half of the shoulder measurements there. And from there, I'll come down for the shoulder slope. The shoulder slope for the back is 1 inch. And on the chest line, I'll input the half of the shoulder measurements there and connect it like so. And then I'll connect from the neckline to the shoulder slope that we've done. And on the chest line there, I'll input the quarter of my bust measurement, which is 8.5. And on this line there, I'm going to measure whatever I have there and divide it by 2 in order to create the hammer curve for the back. And from where we have the midpoint there, I'm going to come in by 0.5. Please take note of those measurements. Just come in by 0.5, and I'm going to connect it straight down to where I have the bust measurement. So I'm going to input the half of my bust span, and I'm just going to mark it straight down like that. So I'll use the same thing I used for the front, 1 inch. So I'm just going to take half inch on one side and half inch on the other side, and I'm going to connect it straight up to the chest line. There is no bust point at the back. So this is how we're going to create our basic bodies using the bust dart. And on the waist there, I'm just going to input my waist measurement, which is 7 plus 1 inch for that makes it 8. And at the back, I'm going to take half inch for back dart in order to eliminate any kind of puffiness at the back. So that half inch that you take, you're going to take it back. On the chest line, we took in some parts, so just place your tape measure there and measure your measurements back and return whatever you've taken in. And also on the waistline too, return whatever you've taken so as to balance it up. So, and that is just that, right? So I'm just showing us how we can just add our zipper allowance. So if you want to add your zipper allowance to your basic bodies, just measure 1 inch. You're going to start from the new line where you take the back dart. The first line is now void. The next line is, so that is how you're just going to take your zipper allowance. I'm just going to write zipper allowance there like so. So that is all for our basic bodies using the bust dart. So if once you want to cut, make sure you have space beside when you're cutting for the front. Can you see that left space there? Because that is going to work for us later when you're walking. So now, we are dealing with changing the dart. So from the shoulder here, you're going to measure whatever you have there and divide it into 2. So whatever you have there, divide it to 2, and you connect the line. You make a line straight to the bust point, because that's where you're going to slash through to transfer the bust dart to the shoulder dart. So first, you're going to open up the waist dart. So just open it up like so, and then you open up your bust dart too. Just open it up and you close it. So if you've not, we just slash it through and just place it on it. Can you see? This is why I told us to leave space beside there. So because once you cut through, there won't be enough pattern. This thing is just going to move. That's why you have to blend it back. So that's why you have to leave space. I'm just going to close that place up like so. So use your paper tape to close that place up like that. So that means we've already closed our bust dart. I'm just going to trim off the excess paper that we have there. So the next thing is for us to slash through the shoulder. We're transferring the dart to the shoulder, so just slash upon the shoulder, the line that we make at the shoulder, just slash it open, and then we have our shoulder like that. So we're going to be transferring this to another pattern paper. in order to create the shoulder dart effectively. So you place this pattern paper on a fresh new pattern paper and you tape it down so that it will not move about. So make sure to tape your pattern down. So just tape it down. So before you tape this down, the length of your bust dart is should be how wide you're going to open your shoulder dart. Mine is 2 inches because that's my dart length. So you're going to measure that, and that's what you're going to use to open your shoulder dart here. So make sure to measure it very well and place your tape measure there. So I have 2 inches there, so just tape it down like that. So that's again to measure the length of your shoulder dart, and then tape down the rest of your pattern like that. So the next thing that you have to do is to trace out the rest of the pattern on the fresh pattern paper so that we can get a whole pattern piece like that. So we're just going to be tracing everything on it now. So I'm going to use my red marker to trace out. So just you can use your freehand or use your rulers where the long ruler is needed, where the curved ruler is needed. So just continue to just use your to just so at the center of the armhole there, so you try to close it in order to cut that shoulder dart into two, and at the midpoint to come up by 1 inch. You use that to raise the dart leg and you connect it to the edge like so, just like I'm doing right now. So once you try to close up your shoulder dart, you're going to have enough pattern piece around there. So just continue to trace off the rest of your lines on the fresh pattern paper like so. Those are not showing. I'm using my marker to trace it and show it very well, and I'm cutting off the excess paper right there. So right now we have a whole piece of our pattern with the shoulder dart. Can you see what I mentioned earlier? The shoulder dart. So once you try to close it up right there, you're going to have enough pattern paper and there won't be any shortage. That's why we raised the dart leg by 1 inch there. You can use half inch too. So this is it. There's some style you need to create with the shoulder dart, and right there we've transferred the bust dart to the shoulder darts. So thank you for watching this tutorial. If you find it helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to this channel for more awesome tutorials. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate you. I'll catch you in my next tutorial.